What's going on? Nick Kirby, Craig Sandlin. We're going to do a half inning earlier because you know what? It's a one-run game at Yankee Stadium, and I'm hoping for an insurance run or two here. Craig, how we doing?
Yeah, an insurance run or two sounds great. Clay Holmes, we'll talk about it if we need to during the show, but Clay Holmes struggling a little bit of late. Be nice to get a couple hits, couple runs here, get a little insurance going here in the ninth. For those tuning in that want to try and sync up with us, we are obviously looking at Clay Holmes facing Spencer Steer. 0-1 pitch is down 1-1 to Spencer Steer. Nick, how was your day?
That's good. Good. Good day. Can't complain. It's going to be hard for them to sync us with us since we got the game cast on there. That's going to be way ahead of us. I don't even look at it. So you'll probably get to see our reactions after whatever, which honestly I think kind of is actually cooler if you're a little bit delayed, if someone's watching you and they were trying to watch the game at the same time. So it is what it is. Or you could pause the game if you really want to. What? Oh, yeah. All right, let's see if we can get a bottom bar in here. Let's try to get a little high-tech here-ish. Dayton 1, Lake County 1. We're going to the top of the 10th. How was your day today, my friend?
It was good. It was a busy day for me today from a work perspective. So nice to relax a little bit, taking a little Reds. Hopefully end the day with a nice Reds dub.
That would be nice, I must say. What a double play, man, to Judge. That was
huge.
All right. We got Brewers 2, Rockies nothing. Bottom 3. We got Cubs winning. Bottom 5. And then the Cardinals just lost, folks. I wasn't fully paying attention to it, but they were winning. They were up. They were up 4-3 going into the bottom of the 10th, and the Pirates hit some sort of walk-off. I just looked up and saw them celebrating. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but that could be a pretty big deal here. Well, it's going to be a big deal either way. I mean.
Yeah, it would be nice to take a series in the Bronx, eh?
Yeah, Padres down 4-2 also to the Rangers. So some good stuff all around.
Yep. Opportunity to make up some ground.
And shout out to those watching on Instagram. We do this after every single Reds game, all 162. We aren't always able to have you join us, but we are able tonight. So this is the best consumed on YouTube, where you can join in on the chat, especially on nights where we're playing the Yankees and I tag Aaron Judge in the title, because it tends to attract some interesting folks to our live stream. We appreciate them too, except for that one really weirdo last night. Can't say I appreciated that. All right, we got a bottom bar. We're official now, Craig.
Boom. Ooh, right down the middle, Ty Steve.
This is not the Clay Holmes that walked 4 batters
No.
last year. Looks like he's in a little bit better of a shape than he was last year. He had actually been, I think, struggling coming into the series.
Yeah, he obviously not going this way today, but coming into today, he had an 11.57 ERA over his last 5 games. So was not the Clay Holmes that led the Yankees to one of the best records in the major leagues.
Ooh.
By any means. Nasty.
How about Marte's catch, man?
That was really nice. I think it'll be a play that kind of gets overlooked a little bit in the grand scheme of things, but especially since it was a foul ball. But yeah, it was
all right. Well, here we go.
Nice athletic play.
Bottom of the 9th, Alexis Diaz. You got the glasses? Let's go. Oh man, we're gonna get made fun of so much by when Yankees fans find this.
I mean, to be fair, we deserve every bit of it, don't we?
We do. All right, I'm going to look at the comments here for a second. Nick seems to be on time with me. Bye, chat. All right. I'm glad Gabe Dave 513. Really, this is all the fault of Memphis, Tennessee being a Reds territory, but you can't actually watch the game on any of your cable.
Yeah, you can, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a cord cutter too, so that doesn't help. Streaming is automatically delayed.
Yeah.
Trace is delayed when you watch with him just because he's on Fubo or YouTube TV or whatever he watches. So, yeah, just the joys of technology,
Willie Wilson should be facing Wells. I get the sentiment there. I don't know if the trade-off of potentially messing up Diaz is worth it though. Like I totally understand it. I'm a big people who've watched the show, that I love my matchups, but I don't know if the trade-off of messing it up and God forbid Wilson walks Wells and then Diaz is coming with a runner on base. I don't think that trade-off is worth it. You have any thoughts on that, Craig?
I'm going to be honest with you. I was trying to catch up on the box score recap for you, Nick. So didn't even hear what you just said. But
we had a commenter, Willie, say that Wilson should stay in to face Austin Wells, their catcher, a left-handed batter. I don't know. I get the sentiment for sure. I don't know if it's the trade-off of potentially messing up Diaz would be worth it.
Yeah, you gotta, potentially throw off Diaz there, but then if he stays in and faces Wells, he also has to stay in and face Anthony Volpe.
No, he pitched the last inning. Oh, yeah.
You have to face 3 minimum in that case, right?
Yeah,
if you come back out for the next inning, you have to face 3. So
yeah, that's a good.
You'd have to face Volpe, and I don't think that makes sense. So you go to Diaz, let him face Austin Wells or whoever the Yankees send up there. I guess it would be Wells because they're not going to burn their backup catcher, but and then let him stay in there and just try to go 1, 2, 3 and avoid having to face Aaron Judge.
First pitch
nice
strike.
Pitch on the corner.
Likes, folks. By the way, this is one of the days you really need some likes. Likes equals wins. It's science. It's been proven. Trust the science.
Come on, baby.
You ever been to Yankee Stadium, Craig?
No, not the old one or the new one. Have you?
I haven't. Been to Citi Field, but not Yankee Stadium.
Ooh. I've only been to New York City once, and it was for a long weekend for a wedding, so I didn't really get to have a lot of opportunity to explore much. So haven't been to either one.
Okay.
So I saw on Twitter, I don't remember who it was. It might have been Clay, said that Yankee Stadium is boring. So not one that he ranks very highly on his list. And he's been to all but, I think, 6, he said. So
Okay.
he knows a thing or two about what he's talking about.
I thought Citi Field was boring. I thought it was, it was like a perfectly fine ballpark. Like it was nice, but it felt like you were going to, felt like a football stadium, not a baseball stadium.
Okay. Interesting. What's your favorite ballpark that you visited?
Well,
Pittsburgh?
Fenway
Oh,
by
Fenway.
far, and then Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's definitely. It's Fenway, Pittsburgh, and there's a big gap between anything else.
Interesting. 2 very different ballparks.
Yeah, I mean Pittsburgh's the best in terms of like the new ballparks. Fenway, you just can't beat the just everything about Fenway. Oh,
easy.
Well, thankfully Wells didn't take one for the team there.
I know.
Oh, they're challenging?
Oh, are they maybe challenging? I don't think that hit him.
If it hit him there, I can't imagine he
certainly didn't sell it very well if it did.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have a hard time overturning that just because, like, he didn't flinch.
Yeah.
Like, if you get hit there, man, like, I would expect you, like, on the ground.
Yeah. Put him away right here, Diaz. Let's go. Got him.
I have no idea what's a strike and what's not.
I don't either. If that ball's on the outside, an inch or two off the plate, it's probably strike 3. But since it was on the inside where he could see, wouldn't.
That was a great pitch though from Diaz. Good work, Bally.
Yeah. I mean, I could have missed it, but what was that a little signal from the home plate umpire? Like, I don't think he was throwing him out, obviously, but like,
I think it was like a kind of a warning or something.
That was weird. I don't know.
Like, don't you respect my authority? Whew. 10th pitch of this at bat.
10th pitch of the at bat.
He has threw 9 pitches last night. And
he
gets 3 outs.
Is anybody warming in the bullpen just in case or no? I don't think so, right? Not exactly what you want to do to turn over the lineup here in the Bronx.
Yeah. I mean, now, unless you get a double play, Judge is batting. So.
Yeah.
I mean, Juan Soto's pretty good, too. All right, come on, Diaz. Lock in.
GDP. He's so fast. Got him. Bang. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Come on, Austin Wells. What are you doing, brother?
Oh, he's India chirped at him.
Yeah, he's pissed at him. Again, great replay, Valley.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure that Wells did anything bad in that. It's hard to see from that angle, but like it didn't look like he was
Yeah, well, we didn't see the foot.
cleats up or anything like that, but
and I
who
couldn't even
knows?
see the feet, so I don't
Yeah.
really know.
All right, let's
All
go.
right.
Let's go.
Shark one.
Got him. Let's go. Let's go, Ellie.
Steer.
Yeah! Series win in the Bronx. Let's go. Nick, let's do a show, baby.
Woohoo! How about those Cincinnati Reds? We'll be back in 3 minutes and 54 glorious seconds.
And a bench to bench. Change into the air to deep right field. Back goes Clemente. That's the save. He's done. Get out of here, baseball. He scored. Oh, my God. Can you believe it? Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep. In the dirt. It's a wild pitch. Here comes Walker. The Reds win the pennant. Larkins won the game. That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none. Welcome, Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club. Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my. That is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb. Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again. The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the line. Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did. He did. Reds win. Win. Line to the right field. Junior, the first Red ever. With 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Does it have a chance? The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Are you kidding me? Holy moly, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to a career of Jay Bruce.
The Reds Reds win! Craig, how about that? Cincinnati Reds, they had no chance of going into Yankee Stadium and winning a series. They don't even need 3 games to do it, Craig. They do it in 2. How we feeling, brother?
I would ask how you're feeling, but it's very clear how you're feeling. This is a Nick Kirby that we're not used to seeing. The Reds go in to a series that, like you said, I don't think many expected them to win. I think a lot were hoping that they just take a game. And here they are, 2 games into the series, 2-0 over the Yankees. So I don't know. Lots to talk about, Nick. Lots to talk about.
Just a little bit to talk about. As always, thank you for tuning in to Chatterbox Reds postgame. Trace is off on a trip this week, so I got my guy Craig filling in. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about a big win for the Cincinnati Reds, going into Yankee Stadium, winning back-to-back games. Reds now 8-8 all time at Yankee Stadium, Craig. One of the most obscure things I've ever heard, just considering the interleague play. I think the first game was in 2003 that the Reds ever played the Yankees in a regular season game. And it's not like the Reds have been necessarily great over that span and the Yankees have been poor or anything. So wild nonetheless. We got a lot to talk about. We'll get to the box score recap here in just a second, but the super chats are flying off the shelves. So I'm just going to go ahead and get to them. And then we will roll back to super chats about midway through the show so we can try to keep somewhat of coherent thoughts going. All right, we'll start off. Let me do them in order here. There we go. Patrick Sharp for the Reds defense. 2 absolutely clutch double plays, and this one belongs to the Reds. We'll be talking about the Reds defense tonight, Patrick. There was some good plays. One play that maybe not so good on defense that I think hurt the Reds. We'll talk about that. RD711. Is this real life or is it fantasy? This is real life, brother. This is real life. Cincinnati Reds just win the Yankee Stadium 1-2 in a row. Mark Fetters, 20 bomb. Andrew Abbott pitched a gem. Yes, he did. And under some really brutal circumstances tonight that we'll talk about during the show. Absolutely, Mark. Appreciate you. Bryce Sizemore, Reds win a series in the Bronx. I get this is a kid show, but bleep Jim Wolf. God awful behind the plate. You know what really sucks, Bryce, is Jim Wolf had to have had probably about $5,000 on Yankees money line today, and he still lost. He still lost. That's how good the Cincinnati Reds were tonight, Bryce. Tough night for Jim Wolf, though. And then RD711, back at it again. Yuck the Fankies. All right, I see what you did there. And then Jeff, just with the classic LFG. Appreciate it. All right, let's get into a show.
You think that's GIF or GIF?
Oh, I don't know. With the extra F kind of threw me off. The extra F threw me off. Are you a GIF or GIF guy?
No, I'm a GIF guy.
I'm a GIF guy too. So
yeah, I don't know if it's real or not, but there's rumors that the developer that created the GIF has come out and said it is in fact GIF. So we don't need to get into that tonight. We got plenty to talk about with the Reds as it is, but just throwing out there. It's a J.
All right. You don't hear that kind of information anywhere else other than on Chatterbox Reds, Cincinnati Reds post-game show. All right, Craig, let's run through the box score recap here for the folks that might have missed this glorious ball game from the Cincinnati Reds.
If you missed it, you missed a good one for sure. Reds and Yankees game 2 of the 3-game set had Andrew Abbott on the mound facing off against Carlos Rodon. We pick it up in the second, and after a deep drive to right field by Spencer Steer that was caught by a jumping Juan Soto at the wall, Tyler Stevenson would reach on a single to center field. Then Noelvi Marte would put an emphatic end to his 0-for-16 slump. He would drive a ball deep down the left field line that curved around the foul pole, staying fair for a 2-run home run. Marte's first home run of the year gave the Reds a 2-0 lead. In the third, the start after allowing 6 walks, Andrew Abbott didn't get much help tonight. The Yankees threatened in the bottom of the third as Abbott seemingly had back-to-back strikeouts to Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, turned into walks by home plate umpire Jim Wolf. They would both advance on a wild pitch, but with runners on second and third, Andrew Abbott would get J.D. Davis to ground out to Ellie De La Cruz to escape danger and keep the score at 2-0. In the fifth, Stuart Fairchild continued his mashing of left-handed pitching. He led off the fifth, taking a 3-2 breaking ball deep for his fifth home run of the season. The 362-foot big fly to left field extended the Reds' lead to 3-0. The Reds would chase Carlos Rodon in the sixth after a one-out walk to Jeimer Candelario. Michael Tonkin would come in and surrender an additional walk, but the Reds could not capitalize. Final line on the day for Carlos Rodon, 5 1/3, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. But the 2 home runs had the Reds ahead. Then in the seventh, having retired 6 straight, Abbott would return to the mound for the seventh. He'd get DJ LeMahieu to ground out to Noelvi Marte before giving up a double down the left field line to designated hitter Jahmai Jones. That would do it for Andrew Abbott, as David Bell would turn to Fernando Cruz. Cruz would walk pinch hitter Austin Wells before surrendering a 2-run double to Yankees leadoff man Anthony Volpe. A wild pitch would allow Volpe to advance to third in the process of Cruz walking Juan Soto to bring up the MLB leader in just about every category, Aaron Judge. And on the first pitch he saw, Aaron Judge grounded into a 5-4-3 double play to end the inning, with the Reds clinging to a 3-2 lead. Andrew Abbott's final line on the day, 6 1/3 beautiful innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 4 walks, which we touched on. 2 of those may have been questionable, and 2 strikeouts. The Reds went down in order in the eighth, and they turned to Lucas Sims for the bottom of the frame. He'd walk the leadoff pinch hitter Ben Rice. Then after back-to-back outs, Sims would surrender a single to DJ LeMahieu to put runners on first and second. Reds would then turn to former Yankee Justin Wilson, who would strike out pinch hitter Trent Grisham to end the threat. In the ninth, the Reds went down in order via strikeout to closer Clay Holmes, and the Reds would turn to Alexis Diaz. Diaz walked leadoff man Austin Wells, but Anthony Volpe grounded into a 6-4-3 double play to erase the base runner. Then Juan Soto flew out to shallow left field, giving the Reds a 3-2 victory in the series win over the Yankees. The Yankees dropped their 8th game out of their last 11, falling to 54-34, while the Reds improved to 41-45 on the year.
Beautiful, Craig, and we have a DSC deep drive of the game. Noelvi Marte, home run in the top of the second, 2-run home run, put the Reds up 2-0 early. Exit velocity of 111.5, went 395 feet. And our deep drive of the day, sponsored as always by Deep South Commodities. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks as always to our friends at DSC. All right, well, plenty to talk about and discuss tonight as the Reds get her done. What a win. What a job hanging on in this one. Let's start off talking about Andrew Abbott, because really his effort tonight was the biggest reason, in my opinion, why the Reds won the game. There was an absolutely brutal strike zone behind the plate, incredibly inconsistent. Abbott, the Soto and Judge, as you mentioned in the first inning, two at-bats that should have resulted in strikeouts, resulted in walks. So he was just set up for failure right from the rip, but he didn't let that, obviously deter him tonight. He was determined, and to give this kind of performance that he did at Yankee Stadium under the circumstances that he was under, just a really unbelievable effort. He mixed all of his pitches. He threw 12 curveballs, 16 changeups, 19 sweepers, 51 fastballs. It just really felt like he kept the Yankees hitters off balance all night.
Yeah, I agree. Kept the hitters off balance all night. The 4 walks, I think, are misleading. And if you look at the final line, Abbott only gave up. Shoot, now I lost it.
He only gave 5 hard
hit balls.
Yeah.
And 3 hits. I mean, the 2 walks in the third. The thing about it to me was that third inning had a real opportunity to be, for some pitchers, they may have kind of sheltered themselves during that third inning after the back-to-back walks. But he comes up, he gets JD Davis to ground out to end the inning, despite the back-to-back walks that should have been strikeouts. I felt like just the entire game he was grinding. Even before he got pulled, he had struck out I apologize. He had retired 7 straight Yankees. Really just all around a very solid outing for Andrew Abbott. Again, only giving up the 3 hits on the entire day, 2 strikeouts. I mean, that's vintage Andrew Abbott. He's pitched a contact guy, and the hard hit balls were hit right at guys for the most part. So ended up working out for him. And I think that ultimately, like you said, when you're mixing up your pitches the way that Andrew Abbott was doing tonight, keeping those batters off balance all night, it felt like moving the pitches around in the zone. It really makes it hard as a hitter to settle in and be looking for a certain pitch in a certain spot when he's changing locations and changing pitches so often.
Yeah, and it felt like he was in control the whole night, which Yankee Stadium against Juan Soto, against Aaron Judge. An unbelievable effort from Andrew Abbott. I know, I'm a guy that likes to look at a lot of different, pitching metrics. And I know there's a lot of stats out there that would suggest that Andrew Abbott is due for some regression. But I will say, I mean, like fielding independent pitching, which is probably his biggest negative, he's now outpitched his fielding into pitching at last 3 stops. So he did it at AAA last year. He did it in the big leagues last year, and he's doing it in the big leagues again this year. So when you start doing that over and over again, you have to start going, okay, maybe, he's a little bit of an outlier here. That's not saying he's not going to regress at all, because I think there probably will be some at some point. His numbers are also going to be a little bit skewed this year because of his walks. Like tonight, 4 walks is just, there's no business. He should have walked 4 batters. The last time out, he walked a career high 6 batters. But you might remember Tyler Stevenson got pulled to his wife went into labor right before the start started. He was prepared to throw to Stevenson. He still threw, only gave up 2 runs in the start his last time out, but he walked 6 batters. So when you walk 10 batters over 2 starts, all those expected stats and all those peripheral type numbers are going to start to look really bad. And if you kind of take a step back and you kind of look at it, he's probably pitching a lot better than that. But a massive start from Andrew Abbott. What a win for the Reds. Let's talk about
real quick. The one thing that stands out to me about tonight's outing, outside of the 2 walks in the 3rd inning that advanced to 2nd and 3rd, Andrew Abbott only allowed 1 other base runner into scoring position, and that was the last batter he faced, the double that he gave up to Jahmai Jones. No other batter even reached second base against Andrew Abbott tonight. The Yankees really didn't threaten much beyond that 3rd inning against Andrew Abbott. And so, like you said, he's in control. He felt like he was in a groove most of the night. And when you're really pitching without a whole lot of stress, it allows you to just kind of go out, do your job, and not have to worry about a lot of things. And it certainly showed tonight that he was in control.
And one other thing on Abbott, I mean, one of the reasons he's been so successful this year, coming into the game tonight, he ranks in the 89th percentile in hard hit percentage and in the 78th percentile in average exit velocity. So he's allowing a lot of weak contact. Is he able to keep that up? I don't know. Maybe it'll come level out a little bit, but for Andrew Abbott, I mean, this is his 2nd year in the big leagues. Andrew Abbott had all the potential of being a guy that could have a sophomore slump, and he's been anything but that. Somehow he's been better than he was last year overall. Now, again, last year he was really dominant at the beginning and, slowed down at the end. This was now Craig, his 18th start. He only threw 21 last year. So he's getting close to already being at where he was for the whole year last year. Obviously, last year he started at AAA, but just can't say enough good things about Andrew Abbott and kind of what he's meant to this team that right now has to rely on starting pitching. Starting pitching has to be the thing that carries this team night after night, and you can win that way. And hopefully
you can absolutely win that way. It'll be very interesting to see how David Bell manages Andrew Abbott's load down the stretch, though. You're talking about a guy who's shown a little bit of fatigue at the end of last year, obviously. And as you mentioned, is already approaching that same number in terms of outings that he threw last year. So how he is managed down this stretch will be interesting. Certainly, if the Reds get healthy and have options, they may have an opportunity to stretch him out in between innings or give him a day off here and there, as they've shown that they're willing to do already this year for other starting pitchers. So it will be interested to see how David Bell manages that. But when you're throwing as good as Andrew Abbott has thrown, it's really hard to want to give a guy a day off.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Nick Lodolo, threw a side session. I don't know what exactly it was called. Threw 20 pitches today from the mound at Yankee Stadium. They said all went well. He's trending to come back into the rotation. And you know what? That might give you some flexibility. And if Graham Ashcraft can pitch well his next time out, then maybe you can do some stuff like that. And that obviously would be very important for this team's long-term staying power into the second half of the year. All right, let's move on to the bullpen before we get into the two guys that hit some long balls today. Fernando Cruz, the biggest double play in a long time. I'm trying to think. I know the Reds turned one. I believe they turned one to finish off the 12th win last year of the 12th game winning streak. I think that ended on a double play. I believe it was Orlando Arcia maybe was at the plate, but this was Aaron Judge. I know I saw all over social media, walk Aaron Judge, walk Aaron Judge, walk Aaron Judge. It's one of those spots where I really see both sides of, do you pitch to Aaron Judge? Do you not? If you walk him, well, you're putting the go-ahead run on second base. And if you don't walk him, well, you're risking giving up a 3-run home run and, the game being completely flipped. But David Bell or Fernando Cruz, some combination, decided they were going to pitch to Aaron Judge, and boy, did it pay off today. What a just unbelievable job. And Fernando Cruz didn't feel like he had his not his best stuff, but didn't feel like he had control of all his pitches tonight either.
Yeah, they mentioned it on the broadcast. He didn't have control of his main pitches, which then limited his ability to go to his out pitch. That inning in general was wild. So you start off, obviously, and just to give you a little bit of context about how big that double play really was, you start off with DJ LeMahieu grounding out, and that improves the Reds' win probability all the way up to 91%. Okay. By the time that Fernando Cruz walks Juan Soto to put runners on first and second at that point, first and third at that point, the Reds' win probability had dipped all the way down to 51%. And then obviously Fernando Cruz, who had struggled with control, went to his four-seam fastball on the inside part of the plate to Aaron Judge, grounds into that double play, win percentage all the way back up to 75%. So in that inning alone, it went from 91 down to 51, all the way back up to 75 on that ground ball double play. I mean, it was a roller coaster of an inning for sure, but I think that my reaction to that double play may have been the biggest reaction you'll get out of me in a long time. I mean, we both know that I'm not a big like live reaction guy, and I'm not going to be over the top celebrating, but like that was a moment that got me excited for sure. And it was a big moment. That ball was hit hard. Shout out to Noelvi Marte for scooping the ball. It was 106.8 off the bat. Marte makes a good play, scoops it up, and turns the double play on Aaron Judge. So big moment for Cruz to get out of that, probably for his psyche as well. Imagine giving up the lead there could potentially damage someone's confidence. And yeah, big moment and big show of confidence in himself to go to that fastball in that moment.
Kind of felt like, hey, this is an all-star reliever. An all-star reliever comes in, gets that out right there. You can have all the great numbers in the world, and Fernando Cruz certainly has all that, but the top guys, they're able to get an out in that spot, and Fernando Cruz just got it done, and Reds turn the double play. There was, a lot of good stuff from the bullpen tonight. Justin Wilson obviously got a big out as well. Don't want to forget about that. But then Alexis Diaz comes in the ninth inning. First batter, he walks. It wasn't the patented Alexis Diaz just completely out of control walk. The pitch was a ball, but the umpire had been all over the place, and you saw maybe why, Diaz was a little bit frustrated. But then Diaz rebounded, obviously got the double play ball that he needed, and then got Juan Soto. I don't think you see Juan Soto hit a bunch of weak pop-ups to I think Steer caught it, but it was very, very shallow in left field. Alexis Diaz, 12 consecutive saves. Craig, is Alexis Diaz back?
I mean, I never thought he left. I don't know what you're talking about. Look, I think Alexis Diaz, we've talked about this in the past, right? Ultimately, there's conversation about, is Alexis Diaz your closer? Is Fernando Cruz your closer? What be it? We even talked during the game on our live reaction show during the 9th. Someone asked in the chat, do you keep Wilson in here to start, or what do you do? And in reality, I think David Bell has two guys in Fernando Cruz and Alexis Diaz, who he has basically full trust in right now to be able to do their job. And so being able to turn to your closer in that situation, regardless of who's coming up to the plate, really gives David Bell a little bit of sigh of relief to not have to make a whole lot of big decisions in those moments. When that 9th inning comes and you have a narrow lead, you're turning to Alexis Diaz right now and that he's going to slam the door shut. And like you mentioned, that first at bat was certainly not a traditional Alexis Diaz walk. I mean, it was a 10-pitch at bat. You got to tip your cap to Austin Wells for working that at bat. I even thought that the ball 4 could have been called strike 3 based on how the strike zone had gone. So, I thought that he was throwing the ball well from the get-go, and certainly no real concern from him. And it's really nice when you have Alexis Diaz not making you sweat too much in the 9th, because we've certainly gone through plenty of situations where we have. And so, for Alexis Diaz to come in and, like you mentioned now, 12 straight conversions of saves. It's a pretty good, go-to out of your bullpen to be able to rely on.
All right, the big home runs. We start off with Noelvi Marte. I feel like Yankees fans really should appreciate a third baseman in Yankee Stadium that, got busted for steroids, hitting a big home run. And that's what Noelvi Marte did today. I've been saving that all night. But Noelvi Marte, who obviously came in, struggling. He'd been struggling not just offensively, he'd been struggling defensively. And maybe more impressive than the home run was the catch that he made in foul territory. Who knows if he doesn't make that catch, how the rest of that 8th inning plays out. A big catch for him, a home run from him. Look, Noelvi Marte, I think you should expect ups and downs. I think what he did at the end of last year is not what you should expect this year. I don't think you should expect him just to hit the ground running and be this consistent every night, great at bat kind of guy. I think you're going to see some great moments. You'll probably see some less than great moments, but there's no question in my mind that he's the Reds' third baseman. He's the Reds' third baseman of the future. I have all the confidence in the world. I believe in him. It's just this year you're going to see some ups and downs, and it was nice to have a big up at Yankee Stadium tonight.
Yeah, and for a team that struggled with power at the plate this year, it's really nice and would be great to see Noelvi Marte get in a little bit of a groove and go on and hit a couple home runs here over the next couple of games, and really kind of change the tone maybe a little bit in terms of offensively how things have been going. We've talked at length about some of the other players that we expected more from a power perspective this year. And so for Noelvi Marte to come in, get his first home run, ball that he absolutely smoked, really has an opportunity to kind of set that table moving forward. And so, he's got another opportunity in the Bronx tomorrow before coming home for a big homestand before the All-Star break that really can determine really what the Reds do with the rest of the season, if we're being honest. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show as well. But, 111.5 miles per hour and a ball that was absolutely roped and twisted around that foul pole. I actually thought it went farther than 395 feet. It was hit well up the stand. So, big for him, especially, I mentioned it in the box score recap, but he was on an 0 for 16 slump going into that swing. So that's quite the way to break out of a slump for sure. And good for Noelvi Marte and good for Stu Fairchild to continue to mash left-handed pitching. He continues to be a guy who, from a platoon standpoint, which is exactly what he was on this team to do, has really stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, and Stuart Fairchild's home run tonight, I know when there was a lot of reaction to it that, oh, that was a cheap home run. That was a Yankee Stadium home run. But I go pull up StatCast, home run in 30 of 30 parks. So I think that maybe Yankee Stadium did some tricks. Because I saw it too. It felt like it. But if there's anyone who deserved a cheap home run, it's Stuart Fairchild after legitimately being robbed of 2 of them over the past couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, Stuart Fairchild just continues to thrive in the role that he was supposed to be in this year. TJ Friedel's supposed to be back. We're hoping maybe after the All-Star break, and then you could have Fairchild slide back into more of his traditional role. But he's got a 668 OPS. He's played solid defense outside of some brain farts. I think he's more than made up for the brain farts with some of the spectacular plays that he's made. And I think a stat like outs above average kind of is a good way to kind of gauge that. But yeah, Stuart Fairchild's been great in his role. One of the few players this year that's A, stayed healthy, and B, performed above your expectations of them coming into the year. So shout out Stuart Fairchild. Anything else on the offense? I mean, really, this is
just real quick on Stu. He's got 5 home runs now, 4 of which have come against left-handed pitching. He's hitting over 310 against left-handed pitching this year, and with an OPS over 835. So, I mean, this isn't a fluke. This isn't something that like, oh, he's just hot right now or whatever it may be. Like, this is what Stuart Fairchild is on this team to do. So, it's really nice to have that kind of reliable piece from the right-handed side and a piece that has been able to provide at least a little bit of power from that right-handed side, which has been lacking. But look, I mean, it's unfortunate that he's had to play every day or most days. Certainly not what he's on this team to do, but it is really nice that, when you've got a left-handed pitcher on the mound, you've essentially got an all-star batter in Stuart Fairchild. If he only faced left-handed batter or left-handed pitching, he'd be putting up all-star numbers.
Yeah, and Reds offense overall, I mean, they got 3 hits tonight. They had an expected batting average of 127. And you know what? This team deserved it. They've had a lot of games where I know that Pittsburgh series is one that really comes to mind where they had so many hard hit balls and just had nothing to show for it. Well, this is the other side of it. So I try to remember, when there's nights when I'm watching StatCast and I'm just like, oh man, it's just a brutal night where the Reds should be having a better performance than they are. Well, sometimes you get nights like tonight, and I mean, to the Reds' credit, they did hit 2 really big home runs. Their pitchers made a lot of really, really good pitches, but they also, I think, had some fortunate things go their way. And that's a 162-game baseball season. And that's why I always have a hard time. People are like, well, you have to win this series. You have to win this series. Oh, that series is okay to lose. I'm like, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, these are all individual baseball games where randomness happens. I saw the Chicago White Sox won tonight. I mean, the Brewers, they lost the other night to the Colorado Rockies. Like, you can't expect anything on a given night. And this series is the perfect example of it. Hopefully the Reds can, find a way to keep rolling and some of these get back their way. But the Reds, hey, look, they're continuing to hang around. They're now just 4 games below 500. Just would be nice to get back to 500. They were so close to it back when they had that stretch earlier. And they got to hopefully grind their way back to it.
Yeah, one more here in the Bronx, and then they head home for a big homestand. Nick, if someone wanted to go to that game during a homestand, where would they get tickets?
I didn't even send you a rundown. And
I know how this show works, Nick.
You can Craig is inside of my brain knowing where I'm going to go next. I mean, it's straight pro. I mean, I screwed up. Oh, no, I'm not a straight pro. There we go. Outside of your face, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with that. Maybe I should swap it to the other side, but that would be a lot of work. All right.
We're good. I'll just slide over here so people can see the pretty face.
Yes, the Cincinnati Reds back in town on Friday. 10-game homestand leading up to the All-Star break. They've got the Tigers, the Rockies, and the Marlins. I know Tom said on his show earlier this week, this is go time for the Reds here in July, and I agree. I mean, this is the time that you have a real opportunity to make up some ground and completely flip the season around. And you got the trade deadline coming up. So why don't you come out to Great America Ballpark and support the fellas on their quest? And if you want to do that, be sure to use the Game Time app, because the Game Time app is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. That makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app, they actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. Killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. They have all-in pricing. You can toggle this feature, and it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CINCY, C-I-N-C-Y, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CINCY for $20 off, C-I-N-C-Y. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And you can also, we want to remind you, you can call or text 988 anytime at all, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health. Whether in an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between, it's a 100% confidential and secure and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or visit mantherapy.org to get help. It's okay not to be okay. All right. I think we had some more super chats. Let me get to those before I forget. Why are they not showing up? That's unfortunate.
Got a couple. We got Mark Fetters dropping a $5
There we go.
super chat.
There we go. They didn't pop up into they didn't auto-populate. I don't know. YouTube, man.
We got you.
Mark Fetters. Marte sure looks the part. Yes, Mark. He does look the part. Again, I think we're going to see some ups and downs from him, but he's a massive upgrade for what the Reds are running out there. And nice to see him make a good defensive play, because that's really what I was banking on. And he had a really couple rough games, and I was just like, shit, he's not bad defensively, Nick. You kind of get in your head almost a little bit. I'm like, I've seen this guy play minor league game after minor league game. See him make great plays. He played shortstop. Surely he's going to be okay. Really looked rough. Had some just boning, but he actually almost threw a ball away today too, at first base. But then he made the really great play later. So yeah, I believe in Noelvi Marte. Michael Rolfe. I love Chatterbox Sports. Craig Sandlin is the Diaz Cruz of this stream. Nick and Tracer Ellie, always here. Happy 4th, everyone. Stay safe. ATOBTTR. And then Mouse Cop. Oh, baby Stu, you got what I need. Appreciate you, Mouse Cop. All right, good stuff.
You say he's just platoon. But you say he's just platoon. Oh, baby Stu.
Oh boy, we're going off the rails. My next thing.
One more super chat.
Is there one more? Yeah, they're not. Oh, there we go. It did show up.
It just came in.
It's like delayed on me. Game day 513. Never gonna. I guess I got to sing this, right? Never gonna give Stu up. Never gonna let Stu down. Never gonna say he's just a platoon. Oh boy. No more. I'm not doing any more singing. So you can pay all you want.
This is what you get when the Reds win a series against the New York Yankees, I guess.
You can pay all you want. I'm done. I'm out. That was the #1 song when I was born. So shout out to Rick Roll. My next thing on here was actually defense, and I know we kind of talked about that a lot. Spencer Steer didn't make a pretty big play in this one. In that, I'm trying to think back to the inning. It was the inning that Cruz ended up getting the double play on. Felt like Steer should have cut the ball off.
Oh yeah.
In left field.
Yeah, I felt like he took a pretty poor angle on that ball. But again, that was off the bat of Anthony Volpe. He's such a fast runner that regardless of cutting that off, he probably gets a double. I was honestly concerned that he might extend that into 3 as I watched it live. I don't know that it really affected a whole lot other than whether or not Austin Wells would have scored from first. That's the biggest question of whether or not he would have scored. Ultimately didn't have a huge impact on it, but yeah, certainly was something that I felt like he took a poor angle on. The other one that stood out to me that, again, didn't have a huge effect on it, and I have to remember exactly when it was, but there was a seemingly double play ball. I think it was actually Anthony Volpe as well in the 5th that Ellie decided to try and pick with his glove and then flip with his glove, and it like was just a really slow flip. Like it wasn't smooth at all. He grabbed it and then went back and then over to India, and by the time that India got the ball, he had no chance at getting Volpe at first. That's just a play that, like, again, it's really tough, and in the moment you're trying to make a play, but go in there with two hands, immediately have the ball out, flip it to your second baseman with with a little bit of speed on it rather than that little flip out of his glove. But again, I think a lot of it can be chalked up to two guys who are still learning the positions that they were playing, right? I mean, Ellie is 22 years old. He's going to have to kind of feel out some of those situations. And the other piece is you got to know who the base runner is and who the batter runner is, right? So in that situation, you've got Anthony Volpe running, like either take that ball yourself and touch the bag and make a hard throw to first, or get that ball out of your glove real quick, give a shovel over with some speed on it and give Jonathan India a chance. And then similarly, Spencer Steer playing left field, taking a bad angle. I think just, luckily a couple scenarios that didn't negatively affect them in the long run, but certainly two plays that could have potentially had a different outcome. But equally, I felt like the Reds made a number of really good plays today too. You mentioned the Marte foul ball, but it just felt like they were really solid behind Andrew Abbott for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. I think overall the good outweighed the bad today. I mean, I think there was some really big plays in big moments. Yeah, I mean the defense it matters a whole lot in baseball. All right, so something today that I saw all over social media. I thought I'd bring it up. The Reds have yet to commit to a deadline strategy. So there was a column from Gordon Whitmire of the Cincinnati Enquirer, who apparently everyone now believes everything that he says because of what was written. The big quote that came out was, Brad Meter, Reds GM, said, "We have to wait and see how we finish off this road trip and the homestand coming up, and then we'll see. We're talking about it. We'd love to be able to add, but realistically, we'll probably just have to see how it goes." So those comments come out. I know there was a lot of buzz about that. I think there was also something in the comment in the article that was behind a paywall. I didn't go look it up, where he said something about how TJ Friel's coming back and the old cliche of that's as good of a trade. Probably not the best way of wording these comments. Now, again, we're relying on the fact that this column was actually 100% the exact way that Brad Meter said it, and without actually hearing it from him, this was exactly what it was meant by it. I mean, personally, I think you probably should have been a little bit smarter with the column or with the words that he used there. Probably should have straight up lied and said, right now we're trying to doing everything we possibly can to find a move that makes sense for our team. But right now there's just not a lot of teams that are willing to make trades. We're going to continue to work hard up until the deadline, and if there's a move that makes sense for us, we'll do it. But ultimately, if we fall out of the race before then, we may have to go the other way as well. Like, just come up with a more of a BS thing there, because people want to be lied to. They say they want the truth, but they don't want the truth, especially when it comes out like this. And then again, they probably should have said TJ Friedl's as good of a trade, because that just really, I think, sets people off when they hear things like that. But again, I mean, this is literally the comments were pretty much, I know most people have been saying, at least from our conversation on the show, that the Reds should be sellers. So I don't really understand the whole uproar about this. I just think probably should have been worded a little bit better. Any thoughts on this, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but let's be honest. I mean, I think the next 11 games really can have an effect on what the Reds decide to do, and certainly beyond that after the All-Star break as well. But I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here. I mean, you look at the upcoming 10-game homestand, obviously one more with the Yankees tomorrow, but then you've got 3 against the Tigers, you've got 4 against the Rockies, and then you finish with 3 at home against the Marlins. Those are 10 very winnable ball games. And so if you go out there and you can, let's say you go 6-4 or 7-3, if you go 7-3, now you're sitting at 500 at the All-Star break. I mean, that's a lot. That feels a lot different than if you were to, for some reason go 3-7 during that stretch, and now you're 8 games under 500. Like, it sounds bad to say, but like it may in fact have an impact on what the Reds decide to do. The other piece of it that's not lost on me is that being the face of a franchise and the voice of a franchise is not always easy. And Brad Meter is taking on a new role as general manager and has not done a lot of these interviews. A lot of these have been handled by Nick Kroll in the past. And so Brad may, quite frankly, have just not been comfortable in the setting. And like you said, kind of not necessarily worded things the way that most GMs and president of baseball operations would do that. But at the end of the day, again, you've got 10 very winnable games before the All-Star break. You come out afterwards with the Nationals. You've got the Nationals, the Rays, and the Cubs after the All-Star break, with the Braves sprinkled in there. So it's a big stretch. And if you look at the schedule before the deadline, ultimately you're going to have a 3-game series against the Cubs at the deadline that could have an impact directly on what the Reds decide to do. And the other piece of it, again, I know the wording is wrong, but this Reds franchise has had TJ Friedl for how many games this year? Certainly not very many. And so, yeah, it probably is a little weird to say that it's like getting a trade acquisition at the deadline, but he's played 26 games this year. So, having a center fielder that you can trust on a daily basis, regardless of who's pitching, puts this team in a much different position than they are today. So look, I appreciate the uproar, I guess, from the quote. I'm not ready to throw in the towel and think that the Reds just aren't going to sell or aren't going to buy at this point, but a lot can change between now and then. It's our standard go-to saying. A lot can change between now and July 31st. So we'll see where the Reds are and we'll see what happens. There's not a lot of teams making moves today. Although I do think I saw one potential trade today.
The Brewers.
With the Brewers picking up. Yeah. So, yeah, like he said, we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of thoughts on this. Number one, there's not a lot of moves that happen. Everyone sees like one move happen and they go, oh, why can't the Reds make this move? Okay, well, 90% of the moves happen at the deadline and they happen for a reason. You have to find a partner that's willing to trade, that wants your pieces, that you're not overextending. And we've talked about this going into the year. The Reds aren't going to be the team that's going to make these big, flashy trade deadline splashes. I just don't think that's going to be in their DNA going forward. And you can hate that, but that's not the way they're trying to build this roster. And so again, I think they should have worded that different. I think you should have just straight up lied and said, we're trying to make a trade right now. What's the downside of saying we're trying to make one and then, it doesn't happen? Like, I just think there's no real downside. There's downside with throwing out a quote like this. Again, assuming that it was 100% delivered pen to paper accurately, and without missing any context that was in there. But the other thing is like, say you go out and get a trade and you make one big trade. Say the Reds go out and get Luis Robert. Does Luis Robert guarantee that the Reds are going to play incredibly better over this 10-game stretch? He's one player, right? So again, it's whatever player you get, it's not going to move the needle that much. Like, you're talking, if you're a guy that likes something like wins above replacement, your chance of acquiring someone that's going to add 2 more wins is pretty low. That's probably almost your best case scenario. So if the Reds are going to win or lose, it's going to be with this team that they have right now. That's going to be what's going to either win the season or lose the team. Yeah, they may be able to add someone that helps, but it's a margin. It's a margin play. And again, I look at Luis Robert. I know everyone's like fascinated with him, and for good reason. He's had a lot of injury risks himself. I'm not sure TJ Friedl's a worse player than Luis Robert. I'm not sure there's that big of a difference. And so like, I kind of get what he's saying there as well. But again, it's not a smart thing to say because people are going to run with that and be upset with that. It's just going to upset a fan base that has reason to be upset because the Reds, as we've mentioned many times, haven't done a damn thing for the last 25 years.
Well, ultimately, the front office is going to have to believe that this is a year that they can truly compete for the playoffs and for potentially a World Series, right? This is a front office that has a plan in place that they believe in and think that they're on the right path. They think that they're ahead of schedule. And so if they are going to make a move and potentially sacrifice what they're building, depending on the move that they make, I mean, I don't know what kind of package it's going to take to get Lewis Robert, but like, if in order for them to truly sacrifice their plan that they've had in place for 5+ years now, it's going to have to be a feeling that this is really a team ready to compete. And there's a couple pieces I think that make that possible. And it starts with health. If TJ Friedel's not healthy, if they continue to have to run Santiago Espinal out there on a day-to-day basis, if Jake Fraley doesn't get better, there's a lot of things that are at play here that can potentially contribute to the decision that they have to make. But the Reds front office is not a front office that has shown a desire to really go in unless they really think that they have an opportunity to get to that next level. And so this is a season where the wild card, with 3 teams go into the playoffs in a wild card spot, and with no real teams in the NL running away with it outside of, the Brewers in our own division, this is certainly a season where the Reds have every opportunity to make the playoffs. It's just some question of, are they going to make moves like they did last year by adding Sam Maul that get them a little bit better and get them in a better position to get into those playoffs? Or are they going to go out and make a major move like landing a Lou Bob or somebody else that Reds fans would get really, truly excited about? I'm on the record, having been on off the bench last week, that it feels like the type of season where the Reds are going to make, 1 or 2 small moves to make the team a little bit better. But I don't necessarily believe that this is the year that they're going to go all in and trade away a number of top prospects in order to acquire somebody like Lou Bob, despite the fact that he may or may not make your team significantly better. He's a player that ultimately has 1 more year of control, I believe, after this year, if I'm not mistaken. And so, you've got to believe that by adding him, you have a chance to compete to advance in the playoffs, something that the Reds team hasn't done in 20+ years.
Robert does have 2 more club options after next year. He signed
2
an
more.
extension.
Okay.
So you would actually
Okay.
get him for 3 more years after this year. But I don't think if the Reds were in first place, I don't think if the Reds had the record of the Milwaukee Brewers and had the distance, that they're going to go out and make a big move. They may make a marginal move, but I just don't think that's the way this team's going to operate. And I frankly don't think they should operate that way. I think they should always be trying to win now, but also be focused on the future, because that's what's going to keep this team from having to rebuild. If you try to go all in, you're almost guaranteed, with the payroll that the Reds front office is going to be allotted, you're guaranteed that you're going to be rebuilding. And I personally don't want that. I want to see this team be able to compete year after year, give themselves more chances, as opposed to maybe increasing their odds by 4 or 5% in a given year. I'd rather every single year have a chance to get to the playoffs and kind of see what happens. But we'll see how it plays out. All right, let's get into some Reds MILB. We had 3 games that went final. The Louisville Bats, they were rained out against the Indianapolis Indians this evening. But we'll start off with Double-A. Chattanooga, they lost 8-6. Pretty tough start for Rhett Lauder, 4 1/3, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. This will soon be Rhett Lauder's last start of the first half. The minor league all-star break is next week. Rhett Lauder was, of course, going to be pitching in the futures game. So hopefully maybe like that can kind of get him back on track, getting to pitch in that, a big environment. But yeah, I'd have to say Rhett Lauder has been pretty disappointing so far, at least at Chattanooga. Bubba Thompson, 1 for 5. Dominic Patelli, 0 for 4. Avon Johnson, this guy has really been hot of late. He was 2 for 3, had 3 RBIs, and then Nick Northcutt hit his 17th home run of the season. All right, down to High A, the Dayton Dragons, they lost in 10 innings to Lake County 2-1. Sal Stewart was 2 for 4 with a double and a walk. Leo Balcazar, 2 for 4, stole his 4th bag of the year, and then a whole bunch of offers. Cam Collier was 0 for 5, and then Hector Rodriguez, Carlos Jorge, Jay Allen, and Ethan O'Donnell all 0 for 4. And then Daytona, they won 7-1 over St. Lucie. The lefty, really talented pitcher, Adam Serwinski, threw 4 1/3 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 3 walks, struck out 10 batters in 4 1/3 innings. He's been one of the better stories in the Reds minor leagues. And really a season where the Reds pitching has not been great in the minor leagues. Adam Serwinski has been really great. Yerlin Confidant has been incredible of late. Tonight he was 4 for 4 with 4 doubles and a walk. So a really impressive night for him. He's been on fire the last 10 games or so. Sammy Stafura was 1 for 5 with a double. Esmith Pineda, top 30 prospect. He was 2 for 4 with a home run, his 5th of the year, also a double. Been a tough season for him. Ariel Almonte was 1 for 4. And then I also saw that Alfredo Duna was moved to the 60-day IL. Might not be that big of a deal because he's been out for quite a while. But nonetheless, unfortunate for him because he was having a really good year before he went on the IL, and definitely one of the players that I was most excited about. No ACL tonight, so no Sheng and Lin updates. There was one final in the Dominican Summer League. The DSL Reds beat the DSL Dodgers Batista 6-2, but DSL Rojas, that's the team that has the 3 top players. They were not in action today. All right.
Real quick before you move on, you see Nestor Laurent picked up the win today, 7-2 with a 1.23 ERA. I mean, this is a kid that just won Pitcher of the Month for the month of June in the Florida State League. In June, 5 games, he was 3-1 with a 0.42 ERA in 21 1/3 innings. 21 1/3 innings. He only gave up 6 hits total, 1 earned run, walked 3, and struck out 24. So
yeah,
maybe a name to watch out for.
Yeah, he hasn't had a whole lot of success over his minor league career. Kind of came out of nowhere this year, but hey, you have those guys every single year that do kind of fly on the radar. Definitely someone I'm going to have to learn a little bit more about because he was not a player that was on my radar by any means going into this season. All right, Reds. Craig, they're going for a sweep tomorrow against the New York Yankees. This will be a good one because it'll be Frankie Montas' return to Yankee Stadium. Obviously, the Yankees gave up quite a bit to get him, and it just didn't pan out, largely because of injury. But, Montas will be fired up for this one. Last 2 starts, he's been good. This was against the Red Sox and then at the Cardinals. 12 innings, 2.25 ERA. He's got a career 1.29 ERA against the Yankees. Of course, all that came when he was with the Oakland A's. Last start was in 2022. And then, Montas with the Yankees went 2-3 with a 6.15 ERA in the 9 games he pitched after the Yankees gave up J.P. Sears, Ken Waldichuk, Luis Medina, and Cooper Bowman for him. So, maybe he fired up on both sides. I don't know. Aaron Boone might be like, boys, we got to get this guy. They got fleeced for him. But then the Reds will be going up against a common foe, Marcus Stroman. Stroman's now in his 10th big league season. He's another Yankees pitcher that's been struggling of late. Every pitcher they faced kind of coming into the series have been struggling. Last 5 starts, a 5.13 ERA. He's walked 14 batters over 26 1/3 innings pitched over that span. This guy signed a 2-year, $37 million year deal with the Yankees this offseason. He's got a 3.76 ERA in 7 starts against the Reds. However, his only start last year, Reds put up 6 runs in 3 innings against him. The active Reds against Stroman, 11 for 42. Candelario has a home run. Will Benson's 1 for 2 with a double. Jonathan India 2 for 7 with a double. So any thoughts on this matchup tomorrow, Craig? Me and you, we will be on Chatterbox Reds live post game right after the game in the 9th inning, like normal on the 4th of July. We're working men around here. We'll be grinding it out. Any thoughts on this game, Trey?
Yeah.
Craig.
Treg, whoever.
Trey.
Yeah. Afternoon game. So an opportunity to take in some Reds. Come check in with Nick and I on Chatterbox Reds after the game, and then go get in your fireworks and barbecue. Frankie Montas' June's been really solid, 3.55 ERA with a 189 batting average against. You mentioned his last 2 outings, really solid against Boston and St. Louis. So be interesting to see how he comes out Marcus Stroman throws 7 different pitches, which is insane to me. His fastball only averages 90 miles an hour. So this is another guy that I've talked about in the past that the Reds have kind of struggled with a little bit, the crafty pitchers per se. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out. His last outing, a little bit of drama around it. No decision on it, 4 1/3, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, and 3 walks. But if you'll remember, it was all over social and on TV. A little bit of drama that he got angry with Gleyber Torres after he felt like Torres didn't throw the ball very hard on a potential double play. Stroman ended up walking his next batter, and that was his last of his outing. And then Aaron Judge came over and had to kind of calm down Stroman in the dugout afterwards and take on that leadership role. So will be interesting to see how Stroman bounces back from that outing. And if the Reds can rattle him a little bit more, because Marcus Stroman is a pitcher that has an ability to be rattled if you can get to him early for sure. So interesting matchup and expected to be a warm day again tomorrow. So we'll see if the ball's flying out of the ballpark yet again.
Yeah. Yeah, big opportunity here for the Reds. I mean, man, you talk about coming home feeling really good. You sweep the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. You definitely would have that. All right, one last super chat from Daniel Myers. If we move Cam Collier, it would be a huge mistake. I agree. I mean, I think people see Cam Collier's inconsistency and think, yeah, he's a guy that you can afford to move. He's 19 years old. He's the 3rd youngest player in the Midwest League that has 50 plate appearances. So he's far and above where anyone else at his age is. So you always have to take players like that, where their ages, and I think take their overall stats where they're at with a grain of salt. Now, if he, turns 21, he's still at high A and he's not going anywhere, then I think you have a totally different discussion. But I agree, man. If you trade Cam Collier, you better not miss. You better not miss, because that's the kind of trade that could haunt you for years to come. And the Reds just can't afford. They cannot afford to give away players that have potential superstar potential on them, that you're going to have control of them, cost control for 6 years. You have to be very, very careful. You have to pick your spots. And I would be very against just about any trade that involved Cam Collier.
Nick conveniently left off the second half of that super chat, but I'm not a Chatterbox employee, so I'm going to say it. The Locked On Dumbos are wanting to trade Cam Collier. What are they going to do, Nick? What are they going to do?
I'm
just reading what it says.
Polite.
Just reading what it says.
Trying to be polite.
They're so polite to you.
I mean, look, I've said plenty of dumb things, and I'll continue to say plenty of dumb things, so I'm not going to cast stones by any means. But I do think trading Cam Collier would be absolutely ludicrous.
I mean, he's your number one prospect, right? I mean, like, it's really hard. You have to really truly believe, one, that the trade you're making has the ability to take you to that next level, whether that's advancing in the playoffs or even all the way to the World Series or whatever it may be. I don't personally think that this Reds team is at that level where that big move is really going to take them to that next level. And I don't think that this front office is the type of front office that's going to make a move like that in a season like this. Now, if you continue to move forward with your plan and everybody's healthy, and next year you're, competing to win the division, and you think that next level could potentially be competing for a World Series spot, then maybe that's an opportunity to think about it. But I'd much rather give Cam Collier the opportunity to compete for advancing to AAA and then potentially even a spot on the major league roster next year and see what he can do, versus trading him for another bat. So we'll see what the Reds decide to do.
Yeah. I'm not sure Cam Collier might be my number one unmovable guy. I might trade Brett Lauder in the right deal before I trade Cam Collier. And I don't want to trade Brett Lauder, but let me be very clear. But it's just 19 years old. I mean, he's got 13 home runs at 19 years old in high A. I don't know. I think it'd be a pretty big mistake. All right, Craig, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Let's get the sweep tomorrow, baby.
Yeah, I gotta find. I'm gonna put up the. I'm gonna put you full screen. Talk to the chat. I gotta find the pillow because I lost it.
Well, normally I would wait for Nick and do this together, but I guess since he's unprepared, unlike me, I'll go ahead and do the Craig on Nick crime first. Boom. Dubs in the chat. I can't believe that Kirby can't find this pillow. Like, how hard is it? You literally just throw it behind you every.
I cleaned, and I had moved stuff.
Yeah.
I cleaned. I'm sorry that I cleaned, Craig. There we go. Nick, MF, and Cage. Let's go. Let's get a sweep tomorrow.
Did you clean or did Andrea clean?
I cleaned, sir. Thank you very much.
I'll text her and confirm that.
All right, text away. I cleaned. I slaved away. Yeah. All right. Well, appreciate everyone for listening today. As always, be sure to check out Chatterbox Reds everywhere you get podcasts. We're the only Cincinnati Reds podcast with new episodes the morning after every single game, weekends, holidays. We're always there for you. So be sure to check that out. If you could be so kind, really would appreciate if you left us a 5-star review wherever you listen to the podcast. There's been a lot of people that have done that lately. It means a lot to us. That stuff really helps us out. But appreciate everyone listening. Hit the like button on the way out. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon as your Cincinnati Reds go for a sweep of the New York Yankees. Take care, everyone.